The Ouija board. A game to some, a means of communication to others. Communication with spirits, even deceased loved ones. Whatever the reason, playing with a Ouija board usually leads to catastrophic consequences. And the following accounts have been submitted by people who became victims of this dangerous board. Barely a week after my brother and his wife returned from their honeymoon, his wife was involved in a fatal car accident and tragically died. My brother was understandably overcome with grief. I mean, to lose your wife barely 3 weeks after getting married, it sure would leave a deep scar on any man's heart. A few months had passed, and my brother kept sinking deeper and deeper in depression. His biggest issue was that he didn't even get the chance to tell his wife goodbye, because she died on the spot. And that really consumed him internally. He kept saying he wished he could see her one last time, and then one day he asked me if I knew how to use a Ouija board. I'm a skeptic, and didn't believe the Ouija board stories I had heard. But anything to comfort my grieving brother. So we get a Ouija board, looked up how to use it online, and my girlfriend decided to join us. We started it, but after a while we knew that we had initiated another problem. The problem arose when, instead of contacting his wife, we instead made a doorway for another spirit. We didn't realize we had conjured up some other spirit until my girlfriend started laughing and crying uncontrollably, all at the same time. We didn't know what spirit we had conjured. And although we didn't get a message from it, we could absolutely feel its presence inside the room. At this point my girlfriend was crying out too loudly, and we heard her talk in a very deep voice, like a man, and this confirmed to me and my brother that it wasn't his wife's spirit we had conjured. My girlfriend's crying and laughing intensified. Horrified by this, we decided to stop, unwrap the boards back, hoping it'll make her stop. She calmed down a little, and soon fell asleep. But the night was far from over. We started hearing strange creepy sounds, seeing things flying around the room, and light bulbs flickering. At this point, both myself and my brother were in panic, and we knew we had welcomed something else. Then, my girlfriend who was asleep upstairs came down. But her eyes were completely white, like her eyes had rolled up, and she just stood there, staring at us. The fact that she seemed capable of seeing, despite that her eyes were all rolled up, that seriously freaked me out. Then she suddenly charged at us, and pinned me to the floor. She was unbelievably strong and I couldn't break free from her grasp. I'm quite big, 6'2", and strong, while my girlfriend is slender. Yet she pinned me down and I couldn't move. She punched me, so hard that I blacked out for a few minutes. When I regained consciousness, she was chasing my brother all around the room, hurling stuff at him. Then out of nowhere, a strong, familiar scent filled the room. It was the scent of my brother's wife's favorite perfume. And it wasn't just a sniff. The smell was so strong. My girlfriend became more violent, growling and hissing, clearly in great discomfort. Then she collapsed to the floor and seemed to go unconscious. My brother also seemed very calm, with tears streaming down his face. He later told me that in that moment, he saw his wife. She was there with us in the room, looking at him, a gentle smile on her face. Needless to say, I believe him completely. Otherwise, how can anyone explain the strong scent of his wife's perfume that inexplicably filled the room, and my girlfriend suddenly becoming normal? Also, needless to say, I am no longer a skeptic. The events of that night were really terrifying, but I guess something good did come out of it in the end, because my brother stopped grieving and came out of depression after that. He was able to move on. But who knows what would have happened if his wife's spirit had not intervened and helped us. This is definitely the dumbest thing I have ever done in my life. I never really believed in ghosts or demons or spirits or anything like that. But I also did not necessarily disbelieve their existence. I had also heard scary stories about the Ouija board, but had never participated in using it. So I guess out of curiosity, myself and a group of friends decided to play with it. We had one friend though, whose name is James. He claimed to have played with the Ouija board many times, and assured us he knew the rules and as long as we stick to them, all will be fine. He said we needed candles, and that as long as the candles are all lit, whatever spirit we conjure would be trapped in the circle of candles as a sort of barrier. So he set up the candles in a form of a star, a pentagram, and we all sat down to play. We started asking questions, laughing and joking as we did. James told us to get serious, but some of us were still giggling. Then all of a sudden the pointer moved to the right, and James quickly told us to stop moving it. We were all shocked, and told him that none of us had moved it. We all let go of the pointer, and it jerked to the left. At this point we all realized the pointer was moving on its own, and we started freaking out. We all backed away from the pointer, but it kept moving, slowly from one direction to the other, pointing at each of us in the process. James quickly got up and ran outside, and a few moments later he came running back with a bell and some incense. He went to one of the candles to light the incense, but it blew out by itself. He quickly went to another candle, but the other four that were left all blew out by themselves. Now even James was freaking out. He lit the incense with the lighter, and started ringing the bell. One of my friends suddenly screamed, which made the rest of us nearly jump out of our skins. He quickly moved away from the door as far as he could, and said that there was some woman, with no eyes, no nose, and no mouth, standing in the doorway. We all moved away from the door, and the atmosphere in the room became very dense. We started feeling dizzy, and in a last-ditch effort, James tried, and succeeded in lighting the 5 candles, and he threw the incense on the Ouija board and it catches fire. After a few moments, everything went back to normal, and we thought it had ended. Little did we know that it was only just beginning. A few days pass and we start having the same symptom. All of us. I started seeing the woman with no eyes, nose, or mouth. I'd see her in random places, like on the road, in my room, even at the store. And whenever I do, the atmosphere would feel so dense that I'd pass out. The same thing was happening to my other friends, including James. We all went to the hospital, but were declared healthy. Yet we kept suffering. Through all this we had decided not to tell our parents that we had used a Ouija board. But it was already getting too much, and one of our friends, Sarah, told her dad. They were Baptist, and her dad invited their pastor to pray for her. After the prayers, Sarah stopped experiencing what we had been experiencing. So we all had the same pastor pray for us, and we all were free. We still don't know what the spirit was, or what she wanted. But I will never play with a Ouija board ever again. A few months ago, I was at a house party with some friends and girlfriends. We were playing games and it was really fun. We had just finished playing Truth or Dare, and one of the girls suggested we play with a Ouija board. We all thought it was a great idea, so we got the board and started playing. We all placed our finger on the Ouija board, and asked if anybody was there. After a few minutes, the pointer slowly started to move in the direction of yes. It finally highlighted the word yes, and slowly moved back to the center. We then asked who he, or she, was. It started toward the word request, got there, then moved back toward the middle. We asked the same question 3 times after that, and it eventually spelled out the words, request you provide. We were confused, and shortly after this question, strange things started to happen. The bulbs started to flicker, and gradually decreased in brightness. Also, chairs, a table, cups, and other items in the house started moving around slowly. We were excited at seeing this. The girls, however, were getting scared, and wanted to stop the game. They insisted that if we kept playing they were going to leave. So we decided to end the game. We asked the spirit to grant us permission to leave, but it said no. We asked again, and pleaded, and once again it said no. So we tried another tact. We asked if we could leave, one by one, asking for people to leave at individual turns. It agreed. One by one it let us go. Except for one person. Me. I asked to leave, and it said no 3 times. At this point we were all nervous, and I was getting scared. On the 4th time it said wait. I asked a 5th time, and it very slowly, hesitantly, moved halfway to yes. There it paused for about 5 minutes, and eventually moved to yes. On my way home from the party, I felt like I was being followed, being watched. When I got home, our cat wouldn't stop growling and hissing at me. She is normally a lovely girl, so this behavior was really strange. I went to bed, and fell asleep quickly. But I was awoken at around 3 a.m. by a very strong feeling of unease. Outside my door is a material going down the hallway, to line the floor and to prevent the white carpet from getting dirty. At the bottom of my bedroom door, there is a small piece of material, on the outside. It slightly dims the light that comes under the door, but you can still see the light under the door. When someone walks past my door, I can see it if the lights are off in the room, because the shadow moves past the door, blocking the light temporarily. I woke up, staring in that direction because I felt the strange, uneasy feeling coming from that direction, and I started hearing weird sounds. I stared directly at the bottom of the door to see if anyone was there. I didn't expect anything. But 3 or 4 seconds after the sounds, a shadow moved past the door, paused and stood there for a few seconds, then walked past, and the light coming through the door increased greatly. I walked over to the door, in absolute fear, but I needed confirmation that this wasn't normal. I knew there was definitely something in my hallway because the material was scuffed, which is why the light coming through the bottom of the door increased. I go over to my sister's room to check if it could have been her, but she was deep asleep. I checked by shaking her. She still didn't wake up, so I knew it wasn't her, and continued to my dad's room. I opened the door and checked if he was asleep. He was too. So I returned to my room and tried to go to sleep. Just as soon as I fall asleep, I feel my bed moving. Yes, my bed was moving, on its own. I jumped out of bed and rushed to my dad's room, panicking. I woke him up and told him what had just happened, and also about the Ouija board game. We then searched the house intensely. And as we did, I felt that same scary, evil presence, watching and following me. We found nothing, but I knew there was something there. And it knew which bedroom was mine. My dad told me things are going to get weirder and scarier, but he will help me and protect me, and that over time these weird activities will slowly come to an end. A few months have passed and I still feel haunted. Wherever I go, whether school, or out shopping, or hanging out with friends, I still feel watched. Strange things still happen. I'd sometimes be listening to music with my headphones and the music will stop, and some voice whisper my name several times through the headphones. Objects move around on their own in my room. My TV and laptop turn on and off all by themselves. I don't know what this spirit, or spirits, want with me. But I know I am now haunted and I really need help. Thank you for watching. And thank you to all those who so courageously shared their stories with us today. If you enjoyed the video, then please like, share and subscribe to the channel. And if you want more of our content, then please watch the video suggested on the screen now. Until next time.